folks, this is where the magic happens. If I haven't been talking about it enough, get ready. It's time to talk about the newest Magic the Gathering set, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Behold, your favorite D&D setting is now your favorite Magic set through one of the most epic fantasy game collaborations on the material
of all
plane.
time.
We've given D&D fans a whole new reason to fall in love with Magic the Gathering and vice versa. And so here to help me crack packs, of course, my grand old pal, you know him from Command Zone on YouTube, who has recently featured guests such as Post Malone, Mr. Josh Lee Kwai.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's a very exciting time.
I am so excited to have you here, Josh, because just cracking packs with you is like my dream day.
Cracking packs is always your dream day, no matter what.
Okay,
with me or anyone else?
With you or without you. Yeah. I was doing it before I got here, and I will do it when I go home tonight. It's a problem, it's an addiction, and we want you to join us.
She's already claimed all the packs we don't crack for herself later. Okay, sorry.
Okay, Josh, tell us a little bit about your experience with D&D, but also with Magic.
Well, my experience with D&D is less than with Magic. I've built most of my adult life around Magic. I host a channel called the Command Zone on YouTube. Game nights you already mentioned.
I've heard of it.
So we play Magic a lot. I talk about Magic all the time. We have a weekly podcast, other things like that. I did grow up playing D&D a little bit when I was in high school, and I did grow up reading the R.A. Salvatore books, which we'll get into a little bit, but it's very exciting in combination with this Magic set.
Yeah.
With Forgotten Realms and things like that. So my D&D knowledge is not insane, but I do know, and actually recently a lot of people at Command Zone started playing D&D, so I've got a Warlock character that I've been playing, so I'm not a complete newbie.
Oh, be careful what you say on the internet, because people will demand that you put it on camera.
Right.
Now.
Warlock's easy, just Eldritch Blast.
Yeah. Oh, you know, even easier, Barbarian. Okay, so for people who have never played Magic,
right,
the straight up D&D players in the house, what do we love about Magic? Like, what makes it fun for you?
Oh, well, why I think Magic is the greatest game in the world is the depth of strategy is kind of the first point. There are just so many decision points in Magic that are important. It really is a skill-based game. It's a resource management game. You've got to worry about how much mana you have. It's a sequencing game. You know, you have cards in your hand, but which do you play in which order? It matters if I play A before B or C before A before B. It's got a little bit of variance, like a lot of card games do, where you're going to shuffle up your deck and you don't know what's on top of it, but skill is going to prevail in the end. So that's the number one thing I like. Another thing is you build your own deck. It's really customizable. So when I show up to battle Becca, I have customized my deck, and I don't have the same cards that she has.
No, I have vampires.
Not barbarians.
Whoa, that's D&D. This is Magic.
Yeah, okay. So I've customized my deck with the cards that I like and the style that I like to play, and I think that would really speak to D&D players because we like to embody the character that we're playing. Well, you can do that in Magic as well. You can make the aggressive deck that's always attacking and always going to apply pressure, the barbarians.
Yes.
Or you can make the tricky wizard deck that's going to like outthink the opponent.
No, we're not going to talk about blue players. Yeah.
You can make the deck that is going to try and assemble like a crazy combination of spells that no one's ever thought of before and make a machine that at the end of it overwhelms them and wins the game out of nowhere. You know, I've been playing Magic for more than 20 years and still all the time there are moments where I'm like, hey, I gotta take a picture of that because I've never seen what's going on here happen before.
Oh, that interacts with this in this way and I'm seeing the Matrix.
Yes, exactly. So Magic just offers similar to D&D, just many different ways to play it that's according to your personality. So that's another great thing about Magic. Another great thing is there are so many different ways to play. You know, my favorite variant of Magic is called Commander. These are Commander decks right here. So normally you think of Magic as 1v1, just me and Becca playing each other. But in Commander, there's usually more than 2 players. So there'll be 4 players maybe at the table. And that opens up another layer of strategic social interaction. So now I'm not just like gonna attack Becca. I'm like gonna try and convince Jimmy that he needs to attack Becca if I give him something like, hey.
You would never do that though.
Yeah,
you would never.
Never.
Not playing politics at that table.
So you get to bring in all the skills from like a game of Werewolf or something and use that strategical layer. So, and then of course there's the collecting aspect of Magic, which I think all of us as humans have this little, we need to scratch that itch of like, I want to find that perfect Planeswalker card that I need for my deck, or want to assemble a full set of, you know, Forgotten Realms or something like that.
Yeah, I have the itch right now. I can't wait. We're going to crack some packs here today. I promise you that. We will crack at least a couple packs.
So Magic just has all this stuff going for it that, you know, the reason it's been so popular for so long.
Okay, so I was just gonna say best game ever done, and your answer was way better. So we know that D&D and Magic the Gathering are obviously very different games. D&D, immersive role-playing game, and then a collectible card game based on strategy and just making the absolute best of spells in your hand. But they also are very related, not only with the fantasy flavor, and specifically in this set because all of the characters in the D&D books have made their way onto Magic cards, but what are some other ways that they have taken the flavor and joy of the gameplay of D&D and put it into Adventures in the Forgotten Realms?
Yeah, I like that there's been a lot of D&D flavor put into this set. You know, there's a cycle of cards that's like something's happened to you. So it'll be like, you're ambushed on the road, right? And so you're ambushed on the road, you play that card, and then it kind of gives you this D&D choice, which is, do you want to stand and fight? Or do you want to make a retreat? And based on what it is that you choose, the card will perform differently. It might buff up your character in one instance and help them fight, or it might take that creature from the battlefield and return it as a card into your hand so that now you can save it, it won't die. And I really like that they've injected that kind of flavor from D&D into the set, you know,
Yes.
in addition to the monsters and everything else.
I love that. I love that they chose putting "you do this" is not a typical Magic card title. The difference being in D&D, I'm going to choose the choice that is maybe not the smartest, but the most fun at the table. And in Magic, you always got to do optimum value.
Okay, remind me not to play against Becca.
You know you want to. Yeah. All right. It's also, they have incorporated dice rolling into the cards, which is one of my favorite new mechanics, especially when you have the right cards to make it synergistically, like this one likes when you roll dice and this one lets you roll dice and I have them all out at once and so I get to do this and draw a card and have all these different interactions. And you can venture into dungeons.
Oh,
in this
yes,
Magic
the
set.
dungeons are really cool. You know, Magic has had dragons for years and years and years, but we've never had dungeons before, and it's a really cool new mechanic with a lot of depth of strategy. I think a lot of Magic players maybe looked at dungeons and thought they were kind of cute, but you realize actually that it's important what dungeon do you choose. There's 3 different ones, and they all have different properties and different steps along the way, and different things happen. So now you're thinking like, okay, when I play it, if I go through this second dungeon, I'll know I'll get a treasure at this step, and I can use the treasure on this other thing. And so it's just such a seamless pairing of the two things, Dungeons and Dragons and Magic, because it takes the flavor from D&D, but actually incorporates it into the strategy of Magic, which I think is just like, it's so great how they did it. I mean,
absolutely, it could have just been
it's no
slapped
surprise.
together.
Wizards is very good at this.
They, no shortcuts were taken in like the perfect way to merge these two things, make it perfectly flavorful and incredibly strategically powerful, which is the best of both worlds. All right, so we're gonna bust open some packs of Magic cards. We've got a whole box of boosters, but right here, these are collector boosters, which means that the rarity of the cards inside these packs are even more specialer.
More specialer than normal. There's a whole bunch of different cool art cards and things like that. Listen, we could talk about it all day, but why don't we just show you?
Yeah, we've got a camera for you.
Can I open one at the same time as you? I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait.
Okay. Oh, don't look at that side.
So many foils.
Okay, so we'll put them here for
Okay.
you to see in our top down. My best card. Oh my, so many foils. I mean, that's kind
I
of
want
the
to
thing.
show off something they've done in the set, which is they've done that classic Dungeons and Dragons look, but on a Magic card. And this is a land card, but I just love the styling of it, just how it looks on this Evolving Wilds right here.
Absolutely. Okay, I have to show you another that
Oh,
is in
yeah.
the classic D&D style. This is a style that I've only seen in these collector boosters, and this is Nadar Selfless Paladin, a Dragon Knight. This card is amazing. It has that venture mechanic that we mentioned earlier, that you get to go into a dungeon and this creature helps you do it. You can't go into a dungeon unless the card says you can. And this art is really fun and beautiful, really like evocative of very early Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I love
like
it.
that one
And
a lot.
Nadar actually very powerful. And in Commander, you can do a thing where you can possibly, what we call blink or flicker Nadar infinitely and venture through as many dungeons as you want. That's a good way to win a game.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
very cool.
Okay, so I know that's going home with me. Thank you very much.
All right, well, I've got a frilly. We were speaking about she likes dice rolling. I've learned this about Becca. has a whole ritual and everything about it.
It's true. Yeah.
So this is another legendary creature that wants you to build your deck around dice rolling in a lot of ways. And I mean, Becca, why did you have that such a huge gasp?
Okay, well, let's first point out that a lot of times Magic cards, everything on them is essential, aside from anything that is in italics, which is just flavor text. Like this one says, Dark One's Own Luck. So basically, whenever you roll dice, this allows you to get flying and menace for this card until end of turn. And if the result was 10 or higher, you draw a card. So if you are a D&D player, don't play a lot of Magic, don't worry about that. Drawing a card
That's all you want to do ever.
is so powerful, especially in Commander.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's all I want to do. I could lose the game, but if I draw enough cards, I'm good.
Yeah, and a card that gets excited about you rolling dice the same way I get excited when I see a card that talks about rolling dice and lets you draw a card is pretty bonkers. And just beautiful card art. I mean, who doesn't want to be the Devil's Chosen Tiefling Warlock?
And one of the cool things I think about this set is they've incorporated the dice rolling in a lot of different ways. And there are cards in the set that will allow you to maybe roll 2 dice and pick the best out of the 2 and things like that. And so you can really craft your strategy around the dice rolling, which is very fun.
Oh, yeah.
I got one more out of this pack that I'd like to highlight because it is an owl bear.
No, you don't even know. We're writing a song here in this building about an owlbear. Jason Charles Miller, a resident bard.
Really?
It was chosen by chat this morning that the song he would spend today writing would be about an owlbear.
I just caught the vibe in the room somehow.
He did. You smelled the owlbear.
Yeah, it's just good instincts. Owlbear, really, really cool card. And if you play limited, if you play draft on MTG Arena or something like that, this card is a powerhouse. In green, I would definitely pick it very highly. I've won a lot of games with that card. So
yeah, I mean, and it's too simple. I mean, it's not doing a ton, but it just, as you said, if you could flicker it, you could draw a bunch of cards.
Oh, I like how you're thinking.
Yeah. All right. I gotta do one more. Oh.
One?
Well,
how long is this segment? Can we keep going?
We could go on forever. But okay, let's take a step back. For the players that are just D&D players that are learning a little bit about Magic from us,
right.
First of all, you're welcome. Second of all, there are 5 colors in Magic.
Oh.
I'm wearing 3 of them. My shoes are white. That means I'm Mardu colors. Don't worry about it. Sorry.
Very
I'm sorry, I didn't tell
like
you we were dressing as our favorite textile.
If you count this as blue, then that is very much me.
But the colors that you choose to play in, as you were saying earlier, kind of represents your personality in the same way in D&D you choose a class. So, for example, what kind of deck do you think a warlock might play? Like, what colors?
Well, it's interesting you should say that because I just opened up another pack and there was a warlock card in it. But also, a warlock would definitely be in the color black, right? Because warlocks are all about gaining power through not caring too much if they're hurting their minions and things like that. And black in the color, or black as a color in Magic, is very much like willing to sacrifice its own creatures in order to do things like draw cards or deal damage to the opponents. Can sort of bring creatures back from the dead and then reuse them and make them do their bidding.
Spend your own life in order for an effect to occur.
Yeah, very much like a warlock. I said I was playing a warlock in our new campaign, right? So near and dear to my heart. I think a warlock could also cross over and be a little bit in red too, so maybe play 2-color deck because warlocks also, like I said, Eldritch Blast, so you might want to throw some burn out there, and in Magic the color red does direct damage to things. Yeah, so I could see it going into a couple different colors.
All right, well, I think this one explains itself. We've got Dawnbringer Cleric. Speaking of flashing, there's enchantment circle, teleportation circle is an enchantment that allows you to flicker something, and I was doing that with Dawnbringer Cleric, and I was gaining 2 life every turn. Oh, it was so good. But it's a cleric, and it's in the color white, which, there's sort of like this paladin cleric kind of vibe with white.
Yeah, clerics would definitely be playing white because of the life gain and the healing aspect. But also, white and clerics are good at bringing creatures back from the brink of death, or maybe just from the other side of death. And white is the color in Magic that's known as being able to bring especially smaller or lower mana cost creatures and things back, resurrecting them and things like that. So cleric definitely would be in white, maybe white-green.
Ooh, yeah, white-green. Another white-green, I would say, Druid.
Yeah, Druid, definitely green. So Druids are all about nature, and they're all about the land. And in Magic, there are sort of lands and spells, and the spells are usually the things that do stuff. They attack and they have effects on the battlefield. But In green, there are a number of things that will allow you to get extra lands into play and then like turn them into creatures. And so your lands become creatures and you attack your opponent with them that way. That feels very much like a druid, right?
Yes.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, and then this one, you know, kind of intuitive if you've ever played a little Magic, but what D&D class would you say a red player might be related to?
Yeah, Barbarian, as you mentioned earlier. You know, red is known as the aggressive color in Magic, so it's the one it's the most attacky color, and it also likes creatures that are big. They have high power, they hit for a lot, so when they attack, they're going to do some damage. Barbarian seems very much a fit for red, maybe a little bit of green. They also have big creatures.
Yeah, a behemoth, a giant. That might be, giants can be blue, but don't worry, that's like if they're a magic casting giant. But like green is big stompy a lot
big
of times
stompy,
too,
exactly.
dinosaurs.
And the strategy is not super complicated, but it's like, I'm going to play really big things and I'm going to attack you with them. Can you deal with it?
Yeah.
A lot of times the answer is no.
And here's an example of the most wizardy wizard card that someone like Josh would play, and I would say, please leave, sir. Bar the gate.
Yeah, so blue is the wizard color in Magic, and very much like D&D, they have similar feeling. Wizards are tricky. They're going to beat you with their intellect. They're not necessarily going to have really big creatures that are going to attack you. They might have little creatures that do stuff, like draw you a card, or like make your creature a little bit smaller. And wizards are more like, and blue in the color in Magic, is more likely to be able to do things during the opponent's turn. Kind of thwart what they're doing. They're like, I'm going to do this thing, and you're like, actually, that thing you tried to do, that's not exactly what happened. And that's very much like how it works in D&D
Yeah,
as well.
I'm going to get you a t-shirt with just the blue mana symbol, and nope. Yeah.
Deal. I'll be
Okay.
checking my mail every day.
All right. Well, it's almost time to go, but just for the people that love Loath the Spider Queen, we'll throw out one more spider for you. This one is Drider. Okay, we've got just a little bit more time before we're going to get into an incredible game with B. Dave Walters running Dungeon Mastering for the cast of AP Bio. It's going to be amazing. But right now, we have you to crack more packs because this is our love and joy. And we're going to try and open the most amazing, most flavorful character cards. What do you got?
Well, one thing I love about the Collector's Butchers is they have foil copies of what we call tokens. And I just got Driss Doran's sword, Icing Death, which is cool because the dragon Icing Death turns into the sword when it dies. I don't know if that means I got the dragon or not in here. Oh, well, I got to show this one for our friend Amy.
Yes, Amy Vorpal loves to see the Vorpal sword come down.
That's what we're talking about.
We cracked it for you, Amy. We'll frame it and send it home with you.
So there are so many like D&D themed artifacts, lands, and things like that in the set, which is another way they're adding the flavor, which has been really, really fun.
Okay, so this is one for you D&D players that you will know immediately. Your favorite spell, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, which causes the opponent to exile cards from the top of their library until they exile cards with a total mana cost of 20 or more. This one has a mana cost of 3, so if you're making your opponent exile 20 mana worth of cards, that's a lot.
Well, and one thing about Magic is there are a couple of different ways to win, and one of the ways is to just make them have no cards left in their library. So this is a way that you could, we call that milling them out, but that is an alternate win condition in the game for sure.
Yes, and also a Displacer Beast.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, another foil card. That's why it has this beautiful kind of iridescent texture. And when this one enters the beast, you get the battlefield. You get to venture into the dungeon. That new mechanic we were talking about, really incorporating the D&D flavor so perfectly, chef's kiss. And it also, you can pay mana in order to return it to your hand.
Which is good because then you can cast it again and get that effect again. So you can just kind of keep doing that over and over if you have enough mana.
Very much like a Displacer Beast in D&D, you don't know where it is. It could be in multiple places. Where is it now?
Speaking of D&D characters, this isn't a character card, but it is an emblem card, which has Mordenkainen on it, which is pretty cool. I know a lot of people out there love that character and are going to want cards like this. This is the type of card that, like, you know, even if you don't play Magic, you might want a copy of that card.
Put it on your wall. You'll never be upset. This one you might be a little upset to see the Atropal, which this is a very helpful token because getting an Atropal, am I saying that word correctly? I've never heard anyone else say it.
I've only read it, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the effects that happens when you go into the Tomb of Annihilation, which is my favorite of the 3 dungeons.
You're very, yeah, because Tomb of Annihilation is a risky dungeon to go into. How many times have you gotten Atropal?
I would say probably 10.
Wow, jeez.
Look,
I'm not brave
building-
enough to go into the Tomb of Annihilation that often.
I don't oubliette, okay? So when you go into it, it's sort of self-explanatory. You're gonna go down through the dungeon. You start at the top. Each time you have an effect that says venture into the dungeon, you go into the next room. But sometimes you get a choice of which direction to go. Like, of course you go in the trapped entry, but then do you do Veils of Fear and the Sandfall cell? Or do you do the oubliette? I don't do oubliette. Oubliette's too intense.
Oubliette, you yourself have to sacrifice a bunch of stuff, but it allows you to go through the dungeon faster. So it's like a
Exactly.
high risk, high reward play. I think under the right circumstances, it would be smart to do, but yeah, it's risky for sure.
Yeah.
One other thing here is that
I know, I was keeping it.
Yeah, I'm stealing it from you to show everybody. So the collector's boosters have some cards that are actually from the Commander product in them, and Galea is actually on the cover of one of the Commander decks for this set. Yep, there you go. You got the box right there. But this is the showcase art version of it. So it's one of the cool things about
Nerd QVC.
Yeah. And Galea is a really cool card. It's in 3 colors, and it wants you to have a lot of aura and equipment in your deck because you get to cast those cards off the top of your deck, which is a way to sort of draw cards. And also, I just wanted to let people know out there we have something in Magic that's another like archetype you can play, like aggro, control. It's called Voltron. So there's this idea that my strategy for my deck is I'm going to make one creature hold a bunch of swords and armor, and I'm going to enchant them, and I'm going to make my one creature really, really strong, and I'm going to beat you with that one creature. So this is a Voltron strategy deck that is, I've played this deck, and it's quite fun.
Can I tell you, Josh? I've been building my very first Voltron deck in these colors, and Galea is coming home with me.
Oh, okay. So I have a feeling you're going to be beating it with me very soon.
Might be.
So you've claimed this showcase art version is what you're telling me?
Yes, I am.
All right, fair enough.
Dibs, everybody.
Fair enough,
Dibs.
fair enough.
Yes. All right. Let's see. What did? Okay.
Oh, that is a beautiful card.
Oh gosh, people are gonna come at me because I don't know the actual D&D lore here. Zariel, the Archduke of Nuss.
People won't come at me because I'm not supposed to know.
Yeah. I didn't even see it. I know.
Arcanus? I have no idea. Sorry.
This is a beautiful legendary planeswalker, though, and look at this incredible artwork. I'm surprised this is not in black and red, given how like creepy circus.
Yeah, with all the
demon
chains and
look.
stuff it is. The Planeswalker type in Magic is a special kind of card type, and the way that it works is that if my opponent has a Planeswalker, my creatures can attack that Planeswalker directly, and that number in the lower corner is the health total that it has. So.
Well, loyalty.
Yeah, sorry, it's loyalty. I was just trying to.
Sorry, Josh. I don't know. Let me explain to you the rules of Magic.
So it's a very cool card type. It has a number of different abilities, but it is also vulnerable because usually cards can't attack other cards directly, but a Planeswalker is kind of an exception to that rule. You got something else awesome?
So,
You're open on all the cool stuff.
We've created, yeah, I know. We've created our own blue dragon today that is going to fight some level 1 players tomorrow, including our resident Dungeon Master B. Dave. But their blue dragon cannot compete with Imerth Desert Doom. This is a legendary creature dragon, a blue one. Have you seen Imerth before?
Yes, it is a very powerful dragon. So it has Ward 4, which means it's hard for your opponents to target it. Ward is a way that the creature kind of protects itself. Means that they have to pay additional mana if they want to target it. But that's only if it's untapped. So it's kind of an interesting strategy. It's like, do I want to attack you with my dragon? Because when I attack you with it, it now becomes vulnerable to being removed. So that's some of the strategy involved there.
But if it does damage to you, then
Yeah.
I draw a card. And if I have less than 3 cards, I draw more cards.
Yeah, you draw up to 3. So what you want to do with an Imerth deck is you want to get all your cards out of your hand so that you get maximum value when you do damage to the opponent. Because if you only draw 1 card, that's not as good as drawing 3 cards. That's just math.
Yeah, here's the thing. 3, bigger than 1.
Bigger than 1, as it
Bigger
turns
than
out.
one.
Yeah, as it turns out.
What else you got?
Okay, I have Zalto Fire Giant Duke, which is a 7/3 big trampling giant. Yep. Whenever it is dealt damage, you venture into the dungeon. So this is a mechanic in Magic that you actually want your creature to take a little bit of damage because you're going to get some effect out of it. And so there will be cards in the game that allow you to deal a little bit of damage to your own creatures, which seems weird, but because that kind of like makes them mad or whatever in the flavor of the game, and you get to like get an advantage out of it. In this case, it's venture into the dungeon.
Ooh, perhaps they become enraged.
There you go, enraged.
Okay, Close your eyes for a sec, Josh. We're gonna play a little D&D. You come to a river. Do you fight the current or find a crossing?
Oh, I think I'd find a crossing. I'm that
Okay,
kind
you can
of,
open your eyes.
yeah.
No,
Let's see.
you would. I would fight the current, let it be known.
You're you're a strong swimmer.
Yeah, which is a bounce spell. I get to return a target card to its owner's hand, a non-permanent.
But if I find a crossing, then I have a creature that gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked.
Yeah,
So
it's like you found a dolphin to swim on.
a dolphin.
There are no dolphins on Magic cards that I know of, but there are some sharks.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah. And in the draft archetype for this set, the black and blue color pairing, the strategy for them is to sneak in unblockable creatures for some effect. So this is a good card in that archetype. Magic is often built that way, where there's certain cards that kind of will synergize with certain other colors.
Yeah, for example. Is that great? Okay. For example, the Prosperous Innkeeper. This is a green card, a little halfling citizen. This is a pretty handy card, especially in the format that I enjoy playing, which is called Limited. It means you just crack a bunch of packs and play with the cards that you opened in
It's a good way to start playing because you don't need a big collection, right?
Well, or continue playing. Okay, fine. Yes, it's a great way to start playing.
No, and listen, I've been playing for 20 years. I still play Limited, but I'm just saying it's also a good way to start playing. Yeah.
All of the ways to play Magic are good ways to play Magic.
Right, true.
Honestly, I don't have a one, but because I enjoy this new set so much,
It's been super fun.
I've been playing so much Limited. And this one creates treasure. How awesome is that? Not even a dragon guarding its hoard. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield when you play that card, then you gain a life. Now, by itself, one little life, what's it's going to do you? But if you have a bunch of cards that say, well, when you gain a life, then this happens, and you get to draw a card, and you get to put a counter on this creature, now that's when you're thinking synergy.
Yeah, that's called synergy.
Synergy, baby!
Yeah, and green-white is the archetype that has the most synergy for the life gain in the set, so that's a really good card in that deck. I have another legendary creature, Orcus. And this is a very powerful card because it has what we call a board wipe on it.
What?
Yeah, so Orcus, if you've paid enough mana, when it comes out, it can just kill all the creatures on the board, which is very powerful if your opponents have a lot of creatures and you do not. So you probably want to build this deck in such a way that you're not committing a lot of creatures to the board. Or you can also build the deck in a way where you're planning to bring your creatures back.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, all these cards have the most incredible art. I mean, sometimes you're playing so intensely, you just read the text, but the art itself is so incredible. Like, we have a beholder.
Ooh, I love how they've put the Magic Planeswalker symbol in the eye of the beholder.
Oh yeah, just stamped in there, just staring right at you.
Well, okay.
Drist D'Orden, of course.
With Gwenwivar, don't forget.
Gwenwivar, yes. I'm learning so much about the lore through this Magic set because the Drist card creates a Gwenwivar 4/1 cat.
4/1 cat, yeah. You can't have Drist without Gwenwivar. So.
Yeah, you really can't. Oh, wow.
Oh, the gelatinous cube.
Oh no, is that what that is?
Is that what that is?
That is. That totally is. Well done.
I love the mechanics of this card. They really did manage to capture the essence of what the card does in D&D and Magic both, and of course the art is just crazy. Yeah.
Exactly. When it comes out, it captures another creature,
right.
And then you can spend extra mana in order to diffuse that creature,
yeah,
dissolve that
dissolve
creature.
it.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, I got to dissolve Displacer Beast, and it felt real nice. Oh, love that. Those are some beautiful, beautiful art images. Each card has incredible art. There's always the artist's name listed on the bottom of the card. If you have a favorite, you can get a large print of it.
Oh yeah, and there's playmats and all kinds of other things that will have the art. That's one of the great things about Magic, I think, is the fact that, and one of the immersive parts of the game, right, is the art on all the cards is just so unbelievably great that anytime you're looking around the table, I mean, and there's different versions of the cards and things like that. Yeah, all the time I'm like, where did you get that? Like, I have that card, I need that version of the card because the art is so great.
Absolutely. And I know that you, on your show Game Nights, as part of the Command Zone, you get new playmats all the time with beautiful art, and then you give them away to your viewers. How hard is that to let go of sometimes?
It can be hard. The Drist D'Orden playmat that we had for the AFR episode that's coming out next week, I really wanted to keep that playmat, but we got to give them away. That's the way that goes.
Because it's for you. And also, leave just want to thank you so much for opening up some Magic cards with us, especially to D&D players, for looking at this beautiful art with us. Remember, you at home can play Adventures in the Forgotten Realms on Magic Arena right now. There are pre-release events that are going to be happening at your local game store today, and the set is going to be available everywhere on July 23rd. You can pre-order and learn more at mtgforgottenrealms.com. Now, I hope you're ready for Palace of the Vampire Queen after this quick break.